What I wanted to chat with you guys about tonight is really the presentation that Bonnie Engel gave at Super Saturday this past weekend, which I just thought was honestly phenomenal. She is who she is on Facebook through and through. She got up on that stage and she owned it, and she was awesome. She was funny. She was everything I think you see on Facebook, which is refreshing. I don't think every coach is like that, but we're going to get to really finding your voice and talk a lot about how to share versus tell your story on Facebook and things like that. But I just want to go over some stuff in the back office real quick. So if you didn't notice, they added a fourth vital behavior to the 3 vital behaviors, which is recognize, recognize, recognize. So that's recognition for challengers, for coaches, in the groups, outside of the groups, for team ladder advancement, success club, volume, every aspect of the business. We really need to celebrate those things, not only individually for ourselves, but our coaches and our coaches together as a team, just because that's really what keeps us going. A lot of times I think we second guess what we're doing, and we're like, oh my gosh, am I doing really good? I lost 2 pounds last week, but is that really good? Oh my gosh, that's great. That sort of stuff. We tend to minimize things. So I love that they added the fourth vital behavior to this, because it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And a lot of people stay in group, especially when you recognize them. So did anybody get a chance to listen to Shay's National Wake Up Call? No? Okay. Awesome wake up call. I know, okay, sorry, I'm trying to, I know for me, it's been hard to, get on Lindsay's call, get on the National Wake Up Call. I'm always busy doing something. And I know that you guys work, so it's a little bit different for you than it is for me. But I started scheduling in on my Google Calendar those appointments during my week. So Mondays is National Wake Up Call. Wednesdays for me is a masterminds group with the regional sales team, and Lindsay's call. And this just so I can remember. So my thing about Shay's call, if you didn't listen to it, honestly, it was awesome. And I can give you guys my notes, but it won't hit home as much as if you were to take, the 25 minutes to listen to her. She really gives 4 different tips on open-ended questions that you can ask people in conversations in different actual situations and scenarios that I actually found myself using that same day that I listened to it, and a little bit throughout the week as I kind of was having conversations with people. And then just different ways to make connections with people, and in ways of making that connection versus just a transaction. So some great questions and strategies to just being real, but having the end goal in mind. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to it, I highly encourage it. Great call. So Coach Summit 2016. So I won't go over this, but I posted it in the group today, so I just threw it on here. The agenda is up and the tracks are up. So that's all out there. Michelle, I know you're feverishly watching your email for yes, it's coming. It's coming. Like I said, I'm believing it's coming. And Crystal, this is your first month as coach, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So did Stephanie get a chance? And I know she's really busy with a lot of other stuff. Did she get a chance to go over success starters with you?
Yes, we looked into that. We kind of went over it a little bit and read through some blogs and everything. Just kind of getting started and getting the feel for everything.
Awesome. Cool. Perfect. Just want to make sure you knew about it. So great. So you have an opportunity to earn a free ticket to Summit for next year if it's something that you're interested in. I believe we're booked in Nashville for the next few years, so it will be the same. The more the merrier. So I'm excited for team shirts. Yay! I will, like I said, I will eventually pay the $20 to have the logo on the site so that anybody can go in and actually order a shirt via a link versus sending an email or me getting an order together and all of that fun stuff. So I will be doing that. Just a couple housekeeping items. They repackaged the 21-day fix packaging. It looks like there is a little bit more of a user guide on the front when you open it, and the box is purple, so it's a little bit more, I don't know if you call it feminine or not, maybe. But and then the T25 program is on a limited time price reduction, so it's $58 for the for the regular kit, and the deluxe kit is $119. Challenge packs for $160 for this month. So that should already be up. Cool. Okay. So let's get anything that you guys had or you guys wanted to ask questions on before we get rolling on the meat, what we're going to chat about? No?
Nope, we're good.
Cool. So what Bonnie shared was how we can use social media to recruit for our groups, for our team. And honestly, when we're recruiting for our groups and our team, we're really inviting people into our lives, into our family, into our fit family, whatever you want to call it. Because I know for me personally, I try to stay in as much contact with these people that I'm bringing in as possible, and friendships start to bloom and blossom. And, you guys know, you find some of your best friends in this business, and it's hands down true. So she talked about sharing versus telling, and really telling the why and the how, not just, I don't want to say spewing knowledge on people. A lot of times when we're posting on Facebook, it's a really fine line to post something and provide value to people if you're just telling them that, if you stick to, the fixed containers for 21 days, you're going to lose 10 pounds or, something like that. If you tell somebody that, they're going to be like, oh, great. But there's no emotional attachment to anything like that. But if you tell somebody, these fixed containers, they're cool, they're simple, they're easy. I did it for 21 days, and I was amazed at how easy it was for me to get my nutrition together when my nutrition was a mess before. And I actually lost 8 pounds and was able to have a glass of wine. And, if you give them part of how it actually affected your life and how you actually benefited from that, that's something that they're going to relate to. That's something that they're going to grab onto versus hearing the same information that's really on the infomercials. So a lot of times we get caught up in following, this is a great point that she made, a lot of times we get caught up in following other coaches. And when she said this in her training, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, we have a document in our file section of our group, and this is initially what I was taught, years ago, to follow other coaches. And her thing was stop following other coaches. And I think that there's a fine line in following coaches versus studying coaches. There's a big difference in following coaches versus studying coaches. I followed coaches initially to see what they were posting, but I find what happens when I follow coaches is I try to post what they're posting, and instead of sounding like me, I'm sounding like them. So when I sound like them, people who know me, people who see me on social media, either have no idea who the heck I am because I sound like, 5 different people depending on who I'm following that day, or people who know me are like, what the hell is she trying to be, sort of thing. So what I really found works, and I was glad that she made this point because I've gone through and I've studied coaches. And what I mean by studying coaches is really scroll through their Facebook feed and see what they're talking about. And what I'm finding is what I'm personally doing is, so I'm seeing what they're talking about and I'm writing down ideas in one of my bazillion notebooks because I have a ton of them. I know where everything's at though, I promise. And what I do is, like some of these coaches talk about their team and they've got this huge team and they're all together and they've got this picture of their team and they're talking about these sort of things. I don't have examples off the top of my head, but you can talk about those sort of things too, but you have to talk about them at your own level. So Crystal, you and I were kind of chatting a little bit about this today. You can show success, but you can't necessarily show the same success that Melanie Mitchell has because you're not there yet. But the more success you show now in the smaller things, people are going to see the build up to the bigger things and the build up to the bigger things. And those people are going to continue to follow you. Those are the people who you are going to attract, because you're talking about things that are real in your business. You're talking about things in your business. You're talking about things in your health and fitness, mixed in with your own personality, your own words, your own voice, and some of the things that you love, your family and things along that line. So don't follow coaches. I mean, you can follow them, but spend more time studying a coach and see what they're talking about throughout the week, throughout the month, and glean ideas from them, and then use your own experiences in those ideas for inspiration for your post. And really that's honestly, that's exactly what I've been doing. So when you do that, your voice becomes your voice and it stops being an echo of somebody else. So let's see. Each of us are different and unique, and that's why this business works so well. So I've heard this said multiple times throughout the years. I'm going to go ahead and mute you guys real quick here just so I don't get feedback. Just message if you need anything, and I'll unmute you. So we're different. We're unique. We all have different personalities. We all have different strengths. We all have different upbringings, different scenarios that we've been through, experiences that we've had. And it's those things where we find our inner voice, where we find our uniqueness, where we find those things that people are going to relate to us. And when we actually focus on a lot of those areas where we're different or that are specific to us and our own uniqueness and how we feel and how we think and how we were raised and where we were going and things that we've experienced, and all of those things that make you who you are, that's how you stand out versus blend in. There are 400,000 coaches in the network, and now more than ever we have to stand out versus blend in, because when they launch the next program, there's going to be however many coaches posting up that $170, $160 for, let's say 10-minute hardcore, 22-minute hardcore. Listen to me, I can't even speak. And if you're posting that too, you're going to blend in with everybody else. It's not going to show any of your personality. But if you were a military vet, or your husband was a military veteran or is active military, and you can relate to 22-minute hardcore and you can position it with a relatable experience or emotion or how you feel or how you're going to use it or how excited you are about it, that's great. And then you post it with a little bit more of a personal picture than just the actual logos and things like that itself. People definitely don't relate to that. So the next thing is, when somebody visits your page, they should be able to know how Beachbody has affected your life. You don't necessarily need to say all the time, that Beachbody has, changed my life this way or Beachbody that, but they should be able to see a post where you talk about how your life has changed, and you can mention Beachbody in there. It's not a problem, and it's probably good to do every now and then, but you don't have to do it every time. But they're going to also scroll, and they're going to see your workouts, or they're going to see somewhere where you're talking about a program with somebody. They're going to be able to tell that you're a Beachbody coach. You should be talking about what Beachbody has done for you, overcoming fears, extra money, giving you confidence. The examples of what Beachbody has done for a lot of people on so many different levels is really, really endless. I was listening to a coach the other day, and she was talking about, how even if it's enabled you to go out and spend $4 on a Starbucks coffee for yourself that you might not have afforded yourself the chance to do before because money was too tight, then Beachbody has positively impacted your life. So it doesn't matter where you are in the network, how big, how small, in the middle, whatever. Beachbody has impacted your life in some area, aspect, financially, physically, mentally, friendships. The list is really, really just endless when we open our minds to really looking at the big picture. So my takeaway for you on this one is brainstorm all the ways that Beachbody has touched your life, from free stuff, from the community, trips, other coaches, workouts, nutrition, any and every aspect of your life, and use those when you post. You can also, go in and study a coach. Pick a coach that inspires you, that is a successful coach, and go and study their page and just take, a half an hour to scroll through their feed and write down things. And I wish I had my notebook in here because I just have little notes of, post about blah, blah, blah. I don't write down like word for word what they said, but I just write down the gist of their post. And then I inspire off of that and I create my post based on myself. So sometimes they're really big wins, and sometimes, like my one today, was kind of like, but that's okay. You'll have that. Just because they don't like your post doesn't mean they don't see it, and they don't know, because they do. So the next thing that she kind of went on to talk about was the difference between Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and I believe that's Lady Gaga in her screenshot, and how people, connect with each of them differently. And when you think of Lady Gaga and Beyonce and Taylor Swift, you instantly think of the differences in them. I mean, it's pretty drastic. They're individuals. They're all singers, pop singers, but they're all super, super unique because that's who they are. So I haven't heard it put this way, but I was taught to be interesting on your wall and interested in private messages. And actually, I really, really like this a lot better. You should be relatable on your wall, not interesting. And I think that really keys in on exactly what we should be doing. And if I were to think about Melanie Mitro's posts and things along that lines, she definitely is being relatable on her wall. She's not just being interesting, although her posts are definitely interesting and inspiring and motivational and all of those things. She is being relatable. And I think that's a really big deal. So let's see. Surface level. So if you are posting surface level stuff, get real or stay stuck was her comments. And I liked how she put that. So surface level is going to give you surface level. So, I find it so refreshing when I can just be my corny self on Facebook. And I can honestly say I probably don't do that near as much as I should. I was cracking myself up yesterday with the whole elf on the shelf comment. And I swear to God, that's exactly how I felt when I put on those red stockings. And I don't know, but in the night before that, I didn't come out and say carpet muncher, but I mean, I kind of did with my dog, and just stupid stuff like that. People like to see your personality. And not that that's who you necessarily are, but if you're corny and quirky and things like that, let it shine. Be real. Don't be surface level. Don't be stale. People want exciting. People want you. So get real. The BFF rule. So act like when you're talking, or when you're posting on your wall, act like you're talking to your best friend. If it's not something that you would say to your best friend, then it's not your voice. And when you post like that, people feel it, people know it, and you feel really, really good about it. So the BFF rule, I thought that was awesome. So a couple questions to ask yourself. What's normal about you? And I know I'm giving you a lot of lists here to make, but make a list of all of the things that are normal about you. My house is a disaster. It's getting cleaned right now, so that's good. Because I have an awesome husband who has been working his ass off. But, laundry, I hate to do laundry. I run to the grocery store too. I have a dog, I have 2 kids. I can't think, but, her examples here are laundry, married, likes cooking, obsessed with your dog, and loves braids. If you were to scroll through Bonnie Engel's Facebook page, you will see these normal things about her on her page over and over and over again. So, posting about normal things in your life too. I think we get into this mantra as Beachbody coaches that we need to be on all the time on our social media. And even though we need to be present, absolutely, we don't have to be something that we're not. And we should definitely let people into our lives in the things that are normal as much as we should let people into our lives about the things that are unique about us. So making a list about the normal things about yourself and about the unique qualities that you have too, and put that down with your list of ideas when you're studying coaches, of things to post about. I sit down every night before I go to bed now, and I've tried a couple different approaches to planning my posts, but I'm sitting down every night now before I go to bed, and I'm making a little note in my planner that is what I want to post about in the morning for my workout, kind of, like my happy pill was the other day, and different things like that. So I'm kind of getting in that in my brain off of that list that I've made the night before. I'm not coming up with the post. I do create them in the morning because I have time to do that while my kiddo's getting ready or whatever. But do what works for you. And so I'm writing down the different ideas. If it's Tasty Tuesday, my egg salad picture was actually from Saturday, Super Saturday. I had that. The bake that you made, Crystal, the spaghetti squash thing, that's phenomenal. We're having that twice for dinner this week. So using things like that in your life and not necessarily blowing them up on your Facebook exactly when you're doing this. Sometimes I tuck that stuff in my back pocket and I'll pull it out later down the week, but I have to write it on that list because if I don't write it on that list, I forget it. So people want you. People don't buy Beachbody programs. They buy you. They buy your personality and all its flaws, imperfections, perfection, silliness, loving things about you, excitement things, happiness, joy, struggles, and honestly, your heart. That's why people buy Beachbody programs. They're buying you and your brand, essentially. So, what sets you apart? What sets you apart? And honestly, for me, this took me a long time to really kind of figure out because I felt like everything that set me apart, somebody else already had. And that's fine. I was looking at Christine Delgado's post the other day, and she talked about all the things that she was. And I was like, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. Oh, that's not me. That's not. So we can have similarities, but because of our situations and everything that we've gone through and who we are, what makes us who we are, there is always uniqueness there. You may share some of the same qualities, but somebody's going to relate to you versus somebody else because you are who you are. So don't be afraid to identify what sets you apart and be confident in that. So, I love to cook. I love to cook and I love to eat food. I do love being a leader. I love getting on here. And actually, I'm finding out that I really like to do videos on YouTube since I've really kind of gotten a little bit of a handle on them, but it took me a long time. But for me, my niche market is busy business working women. It just is. I meet so many people. Actually, Michelle, I was talking to one of your customers this past week and just helping her a little bit. I ran across her with an invite. She told me she was your customer. I was like, great. Helping her out with a little bit of ice. And I find that people, when they're really busy at work during the day, they don't eat. They don't eat because they don't feel like they have time to eat. But if they knew the right things to eat and really kind of how to go about doing that would work for them, running from meeting to meeting, then they'd be far better off. And I can teach people how to do that because I used to do that. That's how I got fit. So for me, and that's an area that I love. I love to dress up in nice pants, which I probably don't have anymore. My wardrobe is workout gear and everything, and that's all changed, and that's great. But I can still put on a pair of jeans, a tank top, and heels and rock it. And I love that. Like, I love killer shoes and just to look like a boss. And not like a boss in the sense of, manager boss, but just, I guess, a boss. Anyways, so those are things that I love. And although, like, I saw Christine Delgado post a lot of those things that she's like that too, that doesn't scare me from being who I am because I'm far much different in other ways. So anyways, long story for finding what sets you apart. What problems does Beachbody solve for you? I have seen people come into this business. We have a coach on the team, Amanda, who has fibromyalgia, and it has totally changed her world. She's able to exercise and be active where she was in pain and just in a really, I'll say a really bad spot, but she, was so down. And, people with rheumatoid arthritis, Christina Aviles, so many things that this really just helps with. So what problem does Beachbody solve for you? Maybe it's financial, maybe it's emotional, maybe it's sense of purpose. What does it solve for you? Another question to ask you: what makes you laugh? What makes you feel good? And what were you looking for when you found Beachbody? I don't know if I've asked myself that question before. I don't know if I was necessarily looking for anything. I think somebody was really looking for me. But the thing that I didn't realize is I needed to be looking for my self-confidence. I needed to be looking for the belief in myself. And I used to be afraid and ashamed that I had to work so hard on self-confidence and I had to work so hard on belief. But those are defining things of who I am. I've had to work my tail off for that. And, I still do. Not as hard as I used to, but there are days that I absolutely still have to convince myself and believe. And you will have days like that. You will have days like that because we're human. But I'll tell you, there is one book that I keep going back to, one person that I keep going back to because I feel like she elevates my excitement, or, she'll refer to it as her vibration, your vibration level. And I've heard of a lot of people talk about manifesting things in your life. And I hands down holistically believe this. Jen Sincero of You Are a Badass. She just puts it out there, black and white, plain as day. She's awesome. She's awesome. So even if you don't have her book, find her on YouTube. She's got different coaching sessions out there. They're very short, quick tips, very real, and definitely beneficial. So a couple more things. There are a million ways to say the same thing. So you might feel like you're running out of things to talk about, but you can take a different angle on that. And if you talked about it last month, you could talk about it, next month, or, maybe it's a little bit different. But there's a million ways to say things. And when you study another coach, you will definitely see that as well. So, sharing parts of your story and versions of who you are. So one of the things that Bonnie shared was that she's weighed 124 pounds since high school, and how she was really an unhealthy 124. And she talks about that portion of her life. So when you share your story, you don't necessarily have to share all of it. You can breadcrumb pieces. You can talk about who you are becoming, what you're doing, why you're doing it, how it makes you feel, and really just being honest about it. One thing that Bonnie mentioned in some of her posts, and she was very upfront about this, so it really kind of caught my attention, is that, she posted a recruiting post, very, I don't say nonchalantly, but it wasn't like, hey, join my team, but in the post, she said, it's hard freaking work. And when she posts that for a reason. You can say it's hard work, but it's totally worth it. You can, some people are like, well, I don't want to say it's hard work, and I want people to think that it's hard. Well, you can say that it's hard work, and, but like, it's totally worth it. It's so fulfilling, blah, 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 blah. I love to do it. But yeah, it's hard work, because what you're doing is you're attracting other people who want to work hard. And I think that that's a phenomenal approach to post. And it was definitely a tidbit that I took away from it. So you'll attract those type of people. I love this part of it. So standing out, have you guys seen those posts, and you can just nod your head, where it says, I have almost 5,000 friends and over 7,000 followers, but due to Facebook's restriction, who actually sees our posts? Less than 7% are seeing the posts. Have you guys seen that? Yeah, me too. And I thought for a quick second, I was like, I should copy and paste that, put it on my status. And, because essentially what they're trying to do is they're trying to get people to comment on their post, because when they comment on your post, they're going to see the things that you post on Facebook more. because of Facebook's algorithms. If they're commenting on your page, your stuff's going to pop up on theirs a little bit more than normal. I love, love, love the approach that she took with this, and I wish that I could see the picture. I'm looking at a file here. I wish I could see the picture she has here. I could probably go to her Facebook wall and find it for you guys. But she personalized it, and she made it her own. She's like, I have a question. And she totally didn't use the pound at the kissy face, and she didn't use any of that. Same purpose, same intention, but it's personalized, which people are going to relate to anymore. So you can find things like that, but as long as you're making them your own, you're going to stand out versus blend in. And that's what we want to do. We definitely want to stand out. So social media, you probably heard it, that it's your storefront. So you should have a strategy on how you're going to present your storefront. They say the 3 to 5 things that show your heart. I think sometimes that's hard. I like to go off of, the things that show my heart, but the things that show my happiness and my joy much more, because you will find, and you may notice even on some of my stuff, that if I am really happy and you can just see a true happiness on my face, or it's the corniest picture, or, you can tell when it's something that people like. You can feel it. You can just feel it. So I tend to go off how I feel. So I got a picture tonight that I'm not going to post tonight, but when this was happening, I just got that feeling. I'm like, I need a picture. I need to take a picture of this, because I had an idea and a thought in my head. So I took a picture. I will probably post that in the next day or so. But I go a little bit more on the giddiness and the happiness that it makes me feel, or, how much it makes me laugh and things like that. Because when I focus on those sort of things, my audience tends to respond a little bit better. But definitely posting 3 to 5 times per day consistently. I typically try to do 3 to 4. Honestly, sometimes for me, it depends on the day. I'm really trying to get a good handle on Facebook, personal page, like page, and Instagram. And honestly, Jake has really inspired that in me, because he's kicking ass and taking names and putting his stuff together. And I'm the type of person, like, when somebody starts to nip on my heels, I'm like, okay, gotta go faster. So I love to have people, not necessarily behind me, but beside me, that help drive me too. So whatever motivates you, find that person in your life, your spouse, a friend, somebody you don't know, a teammate, whatever. And I definitely think that it will light some fires. So they say 3 to 5 times a day, posting 1 time per day about the coaching business, opportunity, challenge groups, whatever. Obviously with your own personal touch and your own voice, maybe with something that Beachbody's done for you. Definitely look at some of the other coaches, study what they're talking about, how they're kind of talking about it, and then come up with how it is for you in your life. At least 1 time per day about your vitals. So this is working out, recognition, inviting. I don't know how you would post it. Well, I guess you could post about inviting to challenge groups and things like that. Obviously, passively inviting people, drinking Shakeology, things like that. And then it says audit your page. When someone scrolls through your page, they should be able to tell that you're a coach. They should be able to see you. They should be able to know you. And they should be able to tell you have something for them to join. The thing about they should be able to know you, I wanted to touch on that real quick before I get to the quote, and we'll kind of wrap it up. People being able to know you. When I was talking to Vito, phenomenal man. I am ecstatic if we're able to hear him again at Summit, because he's smart. And what I mean by people able to know you, really how we get this business to grow, and how we get this business to take off, and how this business eventually doesn't become so much work and we were able to work smarter, is if people are able to get to know us via our Facebook, eventually our like page, and maybe a website, blog, whatever. It doesn't have to be professionally created. It's whatever you choose. If people can know you by going to those sites, you build that relationship with them without actually ever having to talk to them. So when you talk to them for the first time, that relationship, that trust is there because they know who you are. And that's the thing that I am absolutely shooting for myself. And I want you guys to too, because that takes, I'm going to say, a lot of the work out of it. But I'll tell you, when I talked to Vito, I'd never talked to the man before in my life. But when I talked to him, I was so comfortable. I knew who he was. I knew what he was about. I knew that he was going to, I don't say prospect me, but I knew he had a product to sell. I'm not dumb. I know who he is. But I spent quite a bit of time before I had ever reached out to him to say, hey, can you help me? And so when he said that, it was like, it just clicked. I was like, anyway, so there's very advanced systems and things like that to do that, but people should be able to tell who you are and get to know you by your Facebook page. It's your storefront. So the last thing that I wanted to leave you with was a quote from Kim Carver. It's not his quote, but he talked about it. It says, I don't want to live in the kind of world where we don't look out for each other, not just the people that are close to us, but anybody who needs a helping hand. I can't change the way that anybody else thinks or what they choose to do, but I can do my bit. Kim was really inspiring. Bella's back there, sorry. And he talked about his daughter. And if you don't know Kim Carver, he's the head of training. And I've shared a couple of his videos in our group. He has a couple children who, I don't want to say necessarily your special needs, and I won't pretend to know a lot about his story other than what he shared. But his daughter is a bit socially awkward by what I understand. And she's a bit younger. She doesn't have a lot of friends. She spends a lot of time at home. She doesn't, really get involved in activities. So his heart really, well, he did the ugly duckling story because, he related to that when he was younger. He knew that his daughter, felt like that. And he really talked about how one day this girl named Sarah came to the door, and when they answered the door, Sarah asked, she lived down the road, if she could talk to the two of them. And they were like, okay, sure, because his daughter doesn't have any friends, so it wasn't one of her friends that came to the door. And when they talked to her, she asked if Sarah could join, I think it was the track team. And they were like, well, yeah, we'd love for her to join the track team, but, she'll never do it. And so they came up with a way for, I guess his daughter's very motivated by clothes. So they came up with a way that said, if you join the track team, you can get 2 outfits from the Nike store, shoes, socks, shorts, shirt, the whole 9 yards. Long story short, this girl, Sarah, basically took his daughter and, stuck beside her and helped her and was her friend, took her to and from practices, taught her, and really just helped her blossom and grow. And she ended up running a bunch of races, and eventually Sarah, helped her build relationships with other people. And, Sarah didn't have any stake in the game other than just giving to somebody else. And it was just a really, really inspiring story. So know that no matter, where you are in your Beachbody journey, in your life, in your health, in your fitness, there is always room to grow. There is always people to help. There's always somebody who's got your back and believes in you, even in the days that you don't. And I think that you're all phenomenal just for being here and taking time away from your families tonight. And I can't wait to teach you guys even more as we kind of go through. So that's really, really exciting for me. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.